execing. So the first bill we're going to be hearing is House Bill 207. And Representative, you here?
Thank you, Chair. Thank you, Chair, and members of the committee. My name, for the record, is Representative Josh O'Kella. I represent Rockingham 33, which is Fremont, Danville, and Brentwood. And today I'm introducing House Bill 207. It says repealing the regulation of household good carriers, but as amended by the House, it repeals the current statute and replaces the statute somewhere else in law, which was more appropriate, and does some changes that were to that statute, which were drafted by the Department of Safety. The reason that I filed the bill is because under current law there is a requirement under so this is household good carriers that pack up your goods in your home and move it for you, and they have to be licensed or certified by the state right now, and they part of the issuance of that certification is in law, that it says that the certificate is or will be required by present or future public convenience and necessity. Otherwise, the application shall be denied. And that ring to me as a certificate of need requirement, which we have eliminated with medical establishments. And so it's something that I wanted to remove from the law in this case. And when talking with the department, it's hard to actually prove that you would need something in the future. So that was not currently being used, and so they were encouraged or happy to come up with some language that they believed would fit better to what their current practices are and what they believed would meet the safety needs of the state for these people that are carrying our household goods. And so there is some changes about what they need to report to the departments, and before that the certification is approved. And they are here today that they can talk to like the aspects of the current program and how this will change for the better, I believe, the practice. All right. Thank you. If you have any questions, I'm happy to take them.
No, that's what we like, new and improved. Any questions? Seeing none, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Scott Breyer? Good morning.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman and the members of the committee. For the record, my name is Scott Breyer. I'm the administrator of the New Hampshire Department of Safety Road Toll Bureau, and I'm just here to provide some information on the House Bill 207. So with that, basically what this bill does, it repeals RSA 375A. It recreates the new bill 359T, which basically just moves it to the more appropriate section. It basically eliminates all the public utility requirements, like a public hearing, I think, to kind of demonstrate there's a necessity. So basically anybody that wants to open this type of business, as long as they fill out the application and have all the required paperwork, they'll be granted the license. As far as consumer protection, in the old law, they used to have to provide the department with their fees and tariffs. And now we changed that to be similar to like what they do for mechanics, for a garage, where They have to provide a written quote to the customer upon request, and the quote cannot vary by 10% more than what was quoted to the customer. So it provides some consumer protection where, I guess sometimes in household goods, it prevents them from like charging outrageous prices and stuff. Like, so if the customer's quoted one price, he can't change it more than by 10%. And pretty much that's the only big difference is the elimination of the hearing for necessities, and it still has a little consumer protection provision in there. If I can answer any questions or concerns, please let me know.
So, back in the 70s, Longley out of Concord had, was a carrier, and so they had a shield, I mean, they had a license to do it, and they were pretty restricted, weren't they, at that time?
Well, first off, this current statute only applies to intrastate carriers. So if I'm saying like, I'm moving from Portsmouth to Concord.
Yeah,
It's from point A, point B within the state. This has no control over what we call interstate carriers.
Okay.
Interstate carriers have to follow the Federal Motor Carrier Safety Administration rules.
okay,
They're under kind of the federal. There's still, the rules are still enforced by State Police Troop G, that when they go out and do the truck enforcement. But basically, all this does is, it's just household goods moving companies. And so, yeah, it just regulates. They have to currently, they have to license, and they have to go with demonstrate a hearing for necessity, which what this really does is take away the provision for the hearing.
yeah,
And that's really the big difference.
good. Questions? Thank you very much for coming.
Yeah, thanks. Have a great day.
You too. Anyone else on House Bill 207? Seeing none, I'll close the hearing. And we've got 5 minutes. We killed you, Bill. Yeah, yeah, no. Thank you.
This is what that's about. Yeah. We use the backside. Being 9:15, I
We'll open the hearing on House Bill 589. Representative Susie?
Good morning, Mr.
Perfect.
Chairman. Morning, Mr. Chairman and members of the committee. For the record, I am Representative Tim Susi, representing the city of Concord, Ward 7, Merrimack County, District 16. Today, I'm introducing House Bill 589 FN, and I'm doing that for my colleague, Mike Cahill, who cannot be here today. 589 FN requires workers' compensation to cover prophylactic treatment for critical exposure. The bill amends the definition of critical exposure for the purpose of workers' compensation law and provides payment for testing and treatment by a medical provider. And I'm assuming that each of you got Mr. Cahill's testimony, and I think it's pretty in-depth. I'll be brief. This bill realistically is looking to change or amend the critical exposure definition due to the fact that Mr. Cahill's had people in his district that first responders that have been denied workers' comp claims for things such as being exposed to meningitis. One person was spit in the eye. I believe that was a police officer, and I think they had an issue with some of the volunteer EMS people that they have in that town that he lives in. And so I can sit here, Mr. Chairman, and tell you that as a firefighter for 29 years, I understand critical exposure and understand that it's real. And it's devastating for a family to realize that they may have been exposed to something and bringing it home, and then all of a sudden they're getting denied by workers' comp. And understand this, I understand that workers' comp, according to what Mr. Cahill said, was justified in denying the claims. So hence the reason why we need to change that, because it was saliva and bodily fluids that was in the current law, but I believe it was exempted from being covered. So I believe that's what this bill is going to do. It's pretty simple, and we're just asking that you would move forth and approve this bill. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Representative. You know, that was the second best introduction to a bill I've heard today.
Thank you.
Any questions? Seeing none, thank you. Beth? There you go.
Good morning, Chairman French, members of the committee. My name is Elizabeth Sargent. I work for Champlain Capital Group, here today representing the New Hampshire Association of Chiefs of Police in favor of House Bill 589. I believe that Chief Jordan from Newmarket has already submitted this testimony to you by email, so I'll just highlight a couple of sentences. Claims have been denied by first responders based on the fact that saliva is exempted from the definition of critical exposure under the statute. House Bill 589 will help fix this issue by removing other than tears, saliva, or perspiration unless these are visibly contaminated with blood of a magnitude that can result in transmission of bloodborne disease. And the chief goes on to say more and more first responders are exposed to saliva in the course of their duties, oftentimes intentionally. And so we're asking that you would look to close this loophole in the law and help protect first responders. We ask that you find the bill ought to pass.
Thank you. Questions? Seeing none, thank you
Great,
very
thank you.
much. Anyone else here looking to speak on House Bill 589? Seeing none, I'll close the hearing. I'd like a motion, please. We have a motion for executive session from Senator Bradley, seconded by Senator Kavanaugh. Let's take up this one first. We have a motion of ought to pass on House Bill 589 FN.
Second.
And it's been seconded by Senator Susie. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion of consent by Senator Bradley, seconded by Senator Susie. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Very good, thank you. And Senator Bradley, you want to take that out? No. No, you don't. Oh, okay. Thank you. Senator Bradley will take that out. How about the first one? Do you think that's ready? Oh, you didn't hear it. You probably read it this weekend, didn't you? Yeah, okay. We have a motion of ought to pass by Senator Gannon, seconded by Senator Susie on House Bill 207. It's for repealing and changing the regulations. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion of consent by Senator Susie, seconded by Senator Bradley. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Thank you. I'll take that out. Thank you very much. A motion to come out of executive session by Senator Susie, seconded by Senator Kavanaugh. All in favor? Aye. Huh? 9:30.
You were really efficient.
Why don't we wait? It's gonna be fast. We'll be done with this one right off.
A couple minutes, right?
Yeah. If you're getting coffee, get me one.
You can go get one. Go make one at my coffee.
Yes. Yeah, right.
188 a gallon.
We'll open the hearing on House Bill 1106. Is a representative here to introduce it? No, I didn't think so. Warren Perry? Oh, we'll close the hearing. Yeah, would you introduce it, Bill? Thanks.
I'm ready. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'd like to introduce House Bill 1106. This bill establishes a commission to study recruiting former members of the armed forces to job opportunities within the state of New Hampshire and creates a prospective repeal of the commission upon the filing of the commission's report. We want to make New Hampshire the best place to live, work, and raise a family, and we think this will help do it. Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Senator. Could you tell me why this is necessary today? Yeah, thank you. I guess we'll hold the questions.
I could, Mr. Chairman, but we'll hold off on my
So,
opinions.
Warren Perry he didn't want to speak anyways. He's in favor. Anyone else looking to speak on this piece of legislation? Seeing none, we'll close the hearing on House Bill 1106. So we're going to go into recess for about 5 minutes. Senator Bradley will be back, and then we'll exec our 2 Senate bills that we have hanging over our heads. Thank you.
Kevin was talking about biomass this morning.
Okay, we'll come out of recess.
Move we go into executive session.
A motion for executive session by Senator Susie, seconded by Senator Kavanaugh. All in favor? Aye. I'd like to start by thanking Senator Bradley for all the work you've done on these two bills. And I'd like to take up Senate Bill 210. And I believe you have an amendment you'd like to walk us through?
Well, Senator Susie and I have amendment 985.
Excuse me, thank you. I should have known Senator Susie was involved.
And I thought somewhere I have copies of that.
Yeah, should be on your desk.
Were there copies? You did. Very good.
I know Ava helped you, and she's awesome, too. Okay, so this was quite a hearing. I'm really pleased that Mrs. Rideout is here. She and her colleagues testified on this bill. So in the way that I think Senator Susie and I always try to do, we try to figure out if there's a way to get to yes. And I believe that we have a way to get to yes. So as you recall, the biggest point of contention was in the bill, the requirement that there be 51% of all the homes would have to approve a purchase by a tenants association. A second big thing was the removal of the tenants association from the language in the original bill because of how tenants get charged to be able to vote. So I spent a lot of time with both Ms. Susie and Ms. Reardon. I think you probably should recognize them both after I'm done. And I think we're at a great spot at this point, because my intent, and I think Senator Susie's intent, was never to end resident-owned communities or tenants being able to purchase their manufactured housing park, but to make sure that everybody's voice had an opportunity to be heard in what is a huge financial decision. So let me walk through the amendment. There was some controversy about adding the Manufactured Housing Association to the notification. So working with Ms. Reardon, we put the phrase excluding price, terms, and conditions of the offer in that language. So in other words, the Manufactured Housing Association would get a notice, but it would just be a notice of an intent to sell. No other information, and I think, well, Ms. Reardon can correct me if I'm wrong, but I think since it was her language, I think we're good to go. Okay, on line 19, or 18, I'm sorry, Tenants Association remains in the proposed amendment, and the 51% language for a buyout is removed, and I'll get to that in a moment. Line 26, again, the notification excluding price, terms, and conditions. Then if you turn the page to page 2, we didn't feel it was necessary, or OLS didn't feel it was necessary to add terms and conditions after New Hampshire Manufactured Housing Association, because it's just about an employee accepting receipt of the information. And I think Ms. Reardon was fine with that. Okay, so the meat of the amendment starts on line 4. And that's any organization that assists a tenants association. So that's Rock, New Hampshire, shall send each tenant either a certified letter or a hand-delivered letter. So this would be a second notification. The first notification is already covered by law. That's the notification that's also going to go, the intent to sell to the Manufactured Housing Association. But this would be a second notification. It could either be a certified letter or it could be a hand-delivered letter. And again, that was something that seemed reasonable in talking with Ms. Reardon about a way to notify every home in a manufactured housing park about the terms of the final proposal to purchase the manufactured housing park. And so then it talks about the terms including the land rent, the mortgage terms, and any other costs and fees. So basically, a document that outlines all the costs that people will expect in a tenants association, land rent, et cetera. And I think what Senator Susi and I are trying to get to is full transparency and full participation. So then, starting on line 7, such a letter includes a form to request an absentee vote. Remember now, there's no opportunity for an absentee vote. So Ms. Reardon and I talked about this last week, and she made a really good suggestion because I said that it should just, the letter should have an absentee ballot in it, but then if we're allowing it to be put on people's doorknobs, like all the rest of us and all the debates we've had about voter security, I think Tara's suggestion was spot on, that you get a form to request an absentee vote, and then you get the opportunity to participate via absentee vote. So for reasons I'm going to let Ms. Reardon explain, she thought it was very important for financing through private entities that there be a joining fee of not more than $5, as we specify here, to be part of the tenants association. If you recall from the hearing, that fee in at least one instance was as high as $300. So $5 seems reasonable to me. It was something that Ms. Reardon felt was important for the financing of it. And again, in the desire to find a compromise, it seemed reasonable to me. Okay, so getting back to, on line 10 to the absentee form, obviously it needs to be verifiable. And then the organization on line 11, assisting a tenants organization has to provide a secure and verifiable mechanism to vote, to count the vote. And here on line 12 is the key criteria. A simple majority of the members of the association or cooperative voting, either absentee or in person, constitute the qualification to move forward. So, the original bill was 51% of all homes. This is 51% or a simple majority of the people that either go to the meeting or have filled in their absentee vote. And they've gotten a second notification. So I feel like we have fulfilled our goal of transparency and opportunity to vote. And if people then don't vote, they don't vote, and that's a decision that they've made, but have been given all the opportunity that they need. And then lastly, this was language on line 15 that Senator Susi wanted based on the hearing, where if you did not join an association, you could be charged as much as $200 for additional land rent, and we specify that it's no more than $25 here. So again, in the spirit of compromise, that seems reasonable. And then lastly, on line 21, this, because in RSA 301, the Consumer Cooperative Association, we need to replicate the $5, so that's no different than what it is in RSA 205. So I think maybe Senator Susi wants to weigh in, and then we probably ought to hear from Ms. Reardon and Ms. Susi. Perfect.
Can I ask Senator Bradley one question?
You may.
So in between the notice, you said there's already a legal notice for that first notice?
Yes.
And then your second, is there a time period in between? Or could I both one
Well,
day?
there is a time period in law of 60 days to complete the transaction. So we didn't specify when that second notification had to occur, but it has to occur before the vote.
Okay, thank you.
Senator Susi?
Yeah, I think Senator Bradley outlined the terms very, very well. As all of you know, the hearing was quite lengthy, and there was a lot of information that I think both sides, I hope, as a result of participation, learned something. I mean, there were people, who said that we were trying to end affordable housing here in the state of New Hampshire, which we know was never true. And I think that a lot of information that was gleaned, I think, will help make this a better process. And our efforts here, particularly in Roman numeral 4 on page 2, are to encourage more participation in the decision-making, not to set up requirements of participation, but to encourage it so that when people are presented with this opportunity, those that want to can avail themselves, whether or not they can make a specific meeting date, whether or not they're concerned about being in the presence of a neighbor that they may have had issue with. This is a way to get everyone that wants to the table, and I think it's a very reasonable attempt to do that. So I hope that the whole committee can support this.
Great, thank you. Questions? So I would like to hear from Tara Reardon, if you don't mind.
Good morning, and thank you. Thank you to Senator Susi and Senator Bradley. This was a lot of work, and it was a lot of learning our processes and some details about how it works on the ground to actually perfect what we have here. Our biggest concern was the 51%, because just the history of the work that we do, that meant that would almost eliminate any future rocks. We are really pleased to put the 5% joining fee, the 25% rent differential, the absentee ballot into statute, because we too would love 100% participation in whatever way that can happen. I think we've done the best that we can. I was glad to see that 301 also got amended in this process. I think that's where that belongs, and really are appreciative of the amount of time that the senators took to perfect this.
Great, thank you.
Thank
So the way this is written, this will work for your organization and for the parks, in your opinion.
Absolutely. Thank you, Senator.
Thank you.
Yep.
Questions? Seeing that?
I would
Oh,
just say, I want to thank Tara for meeting with us several times, some Zooms. I spent, along with Senator Susi, most of the break week trying to get this amendment together. We're about 324 next, so
I spent most of it worrying about this.
definitely improves the process, but the tenant-owned associations are a critical component, and it was never my intent as a sponsor, and I don't think anybody else has underlined that kind of housing. But I think it's a credit to Tara that she got what our issues were, that we needed to see better participation and transparency, and so it's a good result.
Great.
Thank you.
Thank you. And Karen, Susie.
Good morning.
Good morning. You had a chance to be involved in this?
Yes, absolutely. We support the amendment. I've run it by the ladies from the resident-owned communities, and we definitely support it. We appreciate the fact that it really expands voter participation. And we certainly hope that the New Hampshire Community Loan Fund will really take the time to educate their residents on what the bill as amended does.
Great. Questions? Thanks, Karen.
Thanks are in order.
Thank you.
Definitely. And thank you, ladies, for your hard work and pushing Karen the whole way.
They're gonna make me cry. You really are. Thank you. I want to thank all of you. Really. Thank you.
So,
Lots of passes.
Second, we need to.
we need a motion on the underlying bill.
Second.
We have a motion of ought to pass on Senate Bill 210 by Senator Bradley, seconded by Senator Susie. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed?
Whoa, whoa, whoa.
Oh, no, wait.
We
And
voted.
then we have a motion of ought to pass on the amendment. I meant
Moved.
of Amendment 0985S by Senator Susie, seconded by Senator Bradley. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? And do I have a motion on the bill as amended?
Ought to pass as amended.
We have a motion of ought to pass on Senate Bill 210 as amended by Senator Bradley, seconded by Senator Kavanaugh. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? I have a motion of consent?
No.
Or do you want to take it on the floor?
I think we should talk about this
Yeah,
on the floor. I think
Senator
given
Bradley,
everything
would you
that-
like to take it out? Or Senator,
Why don't you let Senator Susie?
Senator Susie, would you like to take it out?
Sure, I'd be happy to.
Thank you. Great job, guys. I appreciate
Thank
it.
you.
Now we have my prime bill, Senate Bill 324, that we had a few people in opposition to. I think we had 2,000 come in against it, and I was for it. So, having given it great thought after that, Senator Bradley stepped forward with an amendment that should make this a good bill instead of just a bill. So,
So, again, I think the intent of Senate Bill 324 was really laudable. I suspect that all of us have gotten input from various condominium residents, homeowners association residents, and obviously residents in manufactured housing parks about disputes within their association. So what Senator French's bill started out to do was create a overall board that would be a mechanism to resolve these disputes. And it also had provisions in it that talked about how boards of association would turn over and things like that. There was just a huge amount of opposition to the bill, some support, and so I approached Senator Susie and Senator French with the idea that instead of creating a state-run board, would a different mechanism be something that would potentially be better at resolving the disputes and that would meet the muster that we need to be able to get something passed? So I reached out to one of the participants at the hearing who suggested the language that I've replicated for the three separate types of associations. So what it does is it requires, like for instance, starting on line 10 in the Condominium Act, which is RSA 356B, that the bylaws on an association would have to have a dispute resolution procedure for unit owners that want to appeal something, whether it's a fine, a violation, governing instruments, an alleged failure, et cetera, et cetera. So it's pretty broad, but it would be at each individual board level. So if I'm part of a condominium association, and I've been part of two in the past, that association would be responsible for having this kind of bylaw provision for dispute resolution so that people can bring disputes before the board. Then it talks about the process allows a unit owner to request a meeting, provide with an opportunity to speak at the meeting, could be by video technology. The meeting would have to be scheduled within 30 days, and the board resolutions would be final, but obviously somebody's right to appeal to a court would not be undermined. And so that dispute resolution would go into 356B for condominiums. It would also go into the same language in 356B where it talks about homeowners association, so it's the same language. And then moving on to page 2, in RSA 205, which is the manufactured housing parks governing legislation, the same dispute resolution for tenant-owned, and I want to stress that, it's tenant-owned manufactured housing parks, there'd be a dispute resolution procedure, and it was a similar mechanism. So the only other thing that changed from Senator French's bill is the effective dates. I felt that Section 3, in consultation again with Ms. Reardon, that allowing tenants association, and I think Ms. Reardon works with them on a daily basis, a little bit longer to update their bylaws to allow for dispute resolution would be a good idea in terms of the effective date, but the balance for condominiums and homeowners on January 1. And my sense is we pass this law and associations, regardless of whether they're manufactured housing, we should give a little bit more time, or homeowners or condominiums are going to know it's coming. They're going to have ample warning to do what they need to do to get it in place, but we just give manufactured housing a little bit longer to update their bylaws.
Thank you, Senator. So, in my 8 years here, I have heard problems with all these associations. So when I brought forward Senate Bill 324, I kind of took a chainsaw approach to the problem, and I appreciate you using a scalpel and trying to make it.
So my sense is that, having heard the hearing that we all heard, we should try this for a few years. And if we continue to have problems, then, you know, future legislature is going to have to consider that. But I think that, you know, making sure that every member of an association has an opportunity to bring a complaint forward, that their bylaws have to allow that, is a really good step in the right direction.
Yeah, thank you.
Without creating the kind of problems that we heard about at the hearing of a state-run board.
Yeah. Questions? So could I have a motion on Senate Bill 324?
I'll move on to pass.
Second.
We have a motion of ought to pass by Senator Bradley, seconded by Senator Susie. Can I have a motion on Amendment 0988S?
I'll move on to pass.
Second.
We have a motion of ought to pass on Amendment 0988S. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? I have a motion of ought to pass as amended by Senator Bradley, seconded by Senator Susie. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? I will take it out.
Yeah, you should.
I will. Thank you. Any other business? None? Oh, we have a motion to come out of consent by Senator Kavanaugh, seconded by Senator, out of executive session. All in favor? Aye. Close this hearing. Thank you very much for attending today.
Thank you very much.